Welcome back to the Archive Network. Aurelius here, with Malik, curators of the Treaty Archive. We left Treaty of Berlin, 1878. Last time and at last, after weeks of wrangling, the delegates reached consensus. Today we pick up where we left off. The Congress of Berlin unfolded under the ornate ceilings of the Radziwill Palace. It was June, 1878. Bismarck presided over this gathering of the era's most powerful diplomats. Each man arrived with a heavy agenda, knowing the stakes were nothing less than the map of Europe itself. They whispered in corners, strategizing and maneuvering, each seeking to reshape borders to their advantage. Alliances would be forged and broken, all while the fate of nations hung in the balance.
It wasn't just a map they were redrawing, Aurelius. Millions of lives were caught in the crossfire. Each nation's ambitions were fueled by fear and a relentless desire for control. Bismarck might have worn the mask of a peacemaker, but believe me, his hands were anything but clean. Behind every decision he made, there were real people. Families torn apart and dreams crushed. We can't forget the human cost in all of this. It matters.
Yes, but Bismarck's pragmatism was crucial to the whole affair. He understood that the only path to lasting peace lay in finding compromises. Each delegate's interests were tightly woven together, and he intended to exploit that web to his advantage. It was a delicate game, one where a single misstep could lead to chaos. Yet, he navigated it with a deftness that few could match, turning potential conflicts into opportunities for negotiation.
Compromise often comes at a cost, Aurelius. For the British, it meant backing the weakened Ottoman Empire just to curb Russian ambitions. But what about the Slavic nationalists? Their voices were drowned out in this grand game of power. These were the very people who stood to lose everything: their homes, their culture, their future. It's heartbreaking when you think about how their struggles were sidelined, all in the name of strategy and influence. They deserved better.
You're not wrong about the Slavic nationalists. But we need to consider the larger picture here. The British were not just acting out of some misguided sense of morality. They were safeguarding their empire, particularly their critical routes to India. This was a strategic calculation, plain and simple. When we look at history, we see that empires often prioritize their interests over ideals. They make tough decisions for survival, and that's just part of the game.
But at what cost, Aurelius? The sacrifices made by the people of the Balkans were overlooked, brushed aside like they didn't matter. Disraeli's maneuvering didn't just secure British interests. It created rifts among nations that were desperate for self-determination. Families were torn apart, lives were disrupted, and dreams were crushed. This wasn't just a matter of strategy. It was plain exploitation of people who were seeking a chance to define their own futures.
True. Yet without these negotiations, the specter of war loomed large. The core of Europe was at stake. When Austria-Hungary pressed its claims to Bosnia and Herzegovina, it was a calculated risk. Each power was testing the limits of the other's resolve. We must remember that in this game of empires, every move is deliberate. Leaders were watching closely, weighing options. They knew that one misstep could ignite a conflict that would engulf the continent.
And that tension really laid bare just how fragile peace can be. As whispers spread like wildfire through the palace halls, the threat of delegates storming out grew more real by the minute. Gorshakov's pride was on the line. But Disraeli wasn't one to shy away from theatrics either. For them, this wasn't just about diplomacy. It was a gripping drama with real stakes. The weight of their choices hung heavily in the air, affecting not just their reputations, but the lives of countless others.
Bismarck thrived in that chaos. He had a keen sense of the stakes involved. When he brokered the compromise over Bulgaria, the delicate balance shifted dramatically. Splitting Bulgaria into autonomous regions was a clever ploy. It didn't just appease various factions. It bought time and kept the peace, at least for now. But we must remember such arrangements are often temporary. History shows us that stability can be an illusion, and the seeds of future conflicts are often sown in these very compromises.
A clever ploy, yes, but it wasn't a fair resolution at all. The compromises forced upon the Balkans just pushed the real issues aside, delaying what was bound to happen. Those unresolved grievances turned the region into a powder keg. Bismarck's solution didn't get to the heart of the conflict. It only masked the deep-seated anger and pain. Real people were caught in the crossfire, and without addressing their struggles, peace remained a fragile illusion.
You raise a fair point about the long-term consequences of Bismarck's decisions. Yet, we must remember that in that critical moment, his actions prevented an immediate disaster. The Treaty of Berlin, while far from perfect, created a fragile stability among the powers. Sure, the delegates left the table feeling dissatisfied, but they managed to avert war, at least for now. It's a reminder that sometimes we settle for the temporary reprieve, hoping it will hold just a little longer.
Every compromise made at that table echoed through history. The great powers reached an agreement, sure, but it was built on shaky foundations. You could feel the tension simmering just beneath the surface. It was only a matter of time before those unresolved issues would explode into conflict. The Congress of Berlin was nothing more than a temporary bandage on a festering wound. And behind those decisions were real people, each with their own dreams and struggles, caught in the crossfire.
Ultimately, after days of intense negotiations, the delegates finally reached consensus. The Treaty of Berlin was ready for signature, a document that would shape the continent's future. But let's be clear. The nature of that agreement hinted at the conflicts to come. The ink dried on the pages, yet the underlying tensions lingered like a storm cloud on the horizon, just waiting for the right moment to unleash chaos. History has a way of repeating itself, doesn't it?
That's where we leave it this time. Treaty of Berlin, 1878, continues. The story isn't finished yet. Find the full series on the Treaty Archive, part of the Archive Network. We'll be back with the next chapter.